Welcome back, everybody, to this final hour. I think you can probably see that I'm pretty wiped out, and a lot of the people who we work with are pretty wiped out because we are at Guinness World Book of Records, Book of World Records levels in terms of the endurance race that has been this online vigil event. I've got here with me just a small portion of the crew that has been making this happen. If you say hi to the guys, I'll just put this on gallery view. We have here Christian Zaldivar, who you may have seen earlier on. He has been originally one of our graphics guys. He is now coordinating our translations team with working with people in more than 26 languages now. We have Defango, who's joined our stream team and has done a great job supporting that today. We have our technical director of the Internet Party of New Zealand, Joe Booth.
Hey
Joe is the absolute legend who has held us down through anti-spy bill, through 2017 election campaign, and through all of these events that you've seen us do this year in support of Julian Assange. And we have Eben Kim, who is leading our stream team and working with all of our streamer guys who've just done a fantastic job with odds, with the restream, with everything else. We have got more than a dozen social media admins who have been live tweeting. We have got comms team people who've been doing our press releases and writing all our copy and doing the video descriptions on YouTube. We have got, I don't even know. In fact, Joe, it would be great if you could go and pull the stats for me now on how many people are in each of our teams. And if you could message them to me, because I would like to give people an accurate rundown of exactly how many people are in each of those teams and what they've been doing. This movement is something that we could not even have dreamed of being in the position that is now in as little as 2 or 3 weeks ago. I was astonished when I looked at the calendar today and realized it's been only 2 weeks since we did the emergency live stream in support of Julian, where we unveiled this platform. It feels like we've been working for months, but it's only been not even half of 1 month. And what has been accomplished in that time frame is just truly remarkable. I urge you to go and look at Unity4J on Twitter, click on media, and go back through and see all the promo videos, the highlight videos, the incredible graphics that have been produced. We have supported other movements in relation to Julian, promoted events. We've been working with the WikiLeaks shop to create merchandise. We have, last I saw was 68 strong, but probably more than that, web team building us a whole new website. We have had people setting up all the different language accounts and translating all of our content into different languages. You name it, it's been going on our server. And there are still people joining constantly. Every day, hundreds more people joining the server and getting on board with the movement. So I'm amazed. It was beyond our wildest dreams. We've been getting so many compliments from everybody for what we're doing here, but I just want to be really clear that it is hundreds of people making this happen. I had a little bit to do with the original vision, and I've been trying to really put the hours in and pull my weight in terms of making this happen and keeping it going. But I can't do it by myself. I can only do it because I have these beautiful human beings giving it their absolute all to make this happen for Julian and for WikiLeaks. So over the last 4 months now, we started with the Reconnect Julian stream, which was 15 people in 10 hours. We moved on then to the following month. We had 26 hours of stream and 26 people. The following, we had, I believe, somewhere between 36 and 38. This week, we planned for this 50-hour vigil, except this was a little bit different because, like I said, over the last 2 weeks, we've been engaging with thousands of people on our organizing platform, whereas in the prior months, we'd been spending the entire month planning the online vigil. This month, all of a sudden, we were trying to build and flesh out the back-end structure of this movement, produce all kinds of content, do all kinds of work, and also organise this vigil. And I have got to make an apology and say some sorries, as well as also laud and thank all the people who have gotten on board this weekend. My sorry and my apologies is that somewhere in my 20-hour days working, it didn't actually occur to me that for normal people, it is the middle of the US summer and European summer holidays. And therefore, large numbers of guests who we usually have on every month were already on pre-scheduled holidays and were not available. So that's why there is quite a number of people from last month who you don't see present this month. It's not any lack of support, it's that they had other holiday plans, family plans, travel plans, all kinds of things going on. So this week, we have, as a natural result of not being able to get those people, we have actually managed to bring a whole new set of people on with new skills and different types of experience. And that for me has been absolutely amazing. Whoever's beeping, someone's beeping. Whose phone is that?
I think that was mine, sorry.
Okay. Turn your notifications off, please.
Oh, good.
So we have now expanded, and the direction that we're expanding in is in these new people. I'm thinking about people like John DeBar and people like Brian Becker. These are experienced community organisers. These are people who know how to create and form an on-the-ground movement. And I've been having some discussion with people like Julian Assange and others who've said, we have to take this wonderful digital momentum that we've created and we've got to translate it into on-the-ground action and on-the-ground pressure. And this is where I started out in activism, is actually being on the ground at protest events, covering them, photographing them, filming them, getting that footage out to the media worldwide, taking the social media campaigns and the hashtags and using them to promote and spread and build on the ground movements. So that is precisely now what we have to do with Julian. So I've been doing some reflection, and as much as I have really enjoyed the extreme privilege of being able to sit on stream and talk to these amazing guests, I really feel that now is like a transition point, and that we have achieved the goal of these online vigils. The goal was to show every single month that there is a increasing number of people willing to take time out of their busy schedule and to show public support and solidarity with Julian Assange and with WikiLeaks. And that's why we've gone from 10 to 26 to 38 to 50. We wanted to really demonstrate in a very visible way that not only were we not giving up on Julian, but that we're constantly expanding the pool of people who are willing to show public support for him. Now, having seen in the last 2 weeks these 2,600 people come, put their hand up and say, hey, we want to volunteer for this, and having directly worked with those people myself on a daily basis, I can see that my service, my personal service to this movement, is better directed at that group and working with that group than it is doing 3 days in a row of streaming. It's really cool. It's fantastic. I love it. I respect the work that we're doing here in the online vigils, but I feel a very strong calling that I personally should be mucking in with those teams every day on the organising. And so I have talked to some of the much more experienced interviewers and journalists, much more accomplished interviewers and journalists who have appeared in this movement. And I have asked them to work with me to create a new online vigil format for the months going forward. So this is going to be the final marathon online vigil. We're still going to have monthly events with incredibly awesome, high-profile supporters of Julian, but it's going to be in a different format, and it's going to be managed by people who are much more experienced than myself in that regard. And I think that we're going to get a really great end result out of it and great product out of it. And in the meantime, I'm going to dedicate myself to making our Discord server, making our organizing platform and group function more effectively every single day. I'm aware that right now we have, there's a bit of a discrepancy between those who have completed work for the movement and who are really integrated with their teams and who we already are getting along with like a house on fire and doing amazing work with, and the flocks of new people who are coming in every single day, and getting those people, giving them some orientation and acclimatizing them to the server and integrating them into the teams. This is the type of thing that I feel is my service and that I really want to do, is to help to bring that team together to work more cohesively every single day and to push to grow that platform and eventually to migrate that platform to something that we control as opposed to a proprietary solution. So that is the next steps for me. You're going to see less of me in a public sense and in the public realm, but if you get involved in this movement, you'll see much more of me because I will be personally accessible to you on a day-to-day basis. If you would like to come and work with me and like to come and work with our team, we are here, and it's going to be an exciting future. So we are going to start scheduling live events on the ground around the world and promoting those events and supporting those events. And we're going to do so in conjunction with some of the most experienced on the ground organizers that exist, particularly in the United States, but also elsewhere. And we're going to grow this movement until we have hordes of people outside those embassies demanding freedom for Julian Assange, demanding that international law be respected. And that is how we're going to win this battle. We're going to take the digital action and use it to support the physical action, IRL, on the ground. So what else did I want to talk about? So you're going to see, another great thing about this is I'm going to get to spend a lot more time creating resources for everybody. So you're going to see all of the downloadable collateral, marketing collateral and content for the movement on the website. You're going to really have at your fingertips the resources and support that you need in order for this to be a success. So I wanted to say that I am super proud of what we have done in the last 4 months. I've actually just been sent the metrics, and I'll just take you guys through it. Do a little screen share here, because it's worth recapping this, where this hashtag has come from. So just in the course of the stream this weekend, there has been 13,724 tweets about Unity for J. The frequency has been nearly 264 tweets an hour, which is just absolutely phenomenal. We have had 2,596 people tweet about Unity for J, and the total impressions, the total reach of those accounts is 46 million. That to me is just absolutely amazing for one weekend's work. I think that is absolutely phenomenal that we've had nearly 2,600 people talking about Unity for J, especially in the context of it not having been covered by mainstream media at all. This reach is completely organic. It's just the result of word of mouth, of people caring and telling their networks about it. And that's only on one platform. That's not counting the Facebook or the Periscope or the dozens of other places that this has got to. So it's just absolutely phenomenal. And then we have here the movement over the course of the last 4 months in the movement. The stats for that. And I'll just screen share again for you. Hopefully you guys can see this properly. So we've had 8,175 people tweet about Unity for J. with a total reach of 153, the total impressions, not the total reach. Total reach is 28.5 million accounts. The total impressions is 153,178,000. And in total, there has been over 40,324 unique tweets about the Unity for J movement. I think I saw before it was from something like the geographic stats, it was like something like 389 cities in 97 countries. That is just truly, truly remarkable. To think that people in 389 cities on this planet know what Unity for J is. So there we go. Pat ourselves on the back, everybody. Me and everybody involved. Good on you. I'm watching people in this Zoom do it. We have achieved something incredibly special. We've done it with a budget of $0, but we've done it with the most important resource that is in existence, and that's human resource. Human resources are what has driven this movement, what is propelling it forward, and it's why, in the end, we will be successful. Now, Joe, or one of our tech guys, is going to tell me how I can take the Q&A from the audience. Any questions that you have about the Unity for J movement, I'm happy to answer for about the next 28 minutes, and then we're going to wrap. Oh, I just got the loveliest message from someone telling me, oh, wow. People are really moved by this, I think because we all hoped for it, but none of us expected it. It's had a real emotional impact on everybody who's involved. It's very much a life-changing event, and we're hoping that it will be a life-changing movement for Julian Assange as well. Okay, who wants to pipe up and tell me how to do the Restream chat? Joe?
Yeah, Defango, if you can put that on the screen, it's down the bottom of the chat one for our audience. I'm about to catch a train. The link is in the Zoom chat a bit earlier. And I will go catch my train.
Thank you so much, Joe. Okay, I can't see the link, so can someone get me it, please? Christian or anyone else, do you have anything you want to say about the movement while I organize this Q&A? Or Evan?
I think you said you encapsulated pretty well, Susie. I think this is the next step to go. It's important that we get as many people as we can en masse to show up and really raise awareness and talk to people there, and just to step our game up in terms of having actual bodies in front of key places where we can make noise, get some eyeballs on this really important cause, this humanitarian cause.
Thank you so much for that. Awesome. Okay, I've just got the link. So bear with me. Okay, social media admins, I know you're listening. Can you please tweet out to people and let them know that any questions they have? Oh, cool. Awesome. I can see them. Yay. Any questions that anyone has, now's the time. You've got half an hour to ask me anything you want. Okay, so somebody has asked, do we have a working group for at-embassy events, flash mobs, etc.? So currently we've started to create events channels for different countries that people are located in, where they can themselves independently organize actions. And we've seen some of those. We had a really amazing team of people in France just literally walk the streets of their cities with Unity for J signs and handouts and talk to people about what was going on and take photos of it and videos of it. that for me was like a real highlight, seeing people take the initiative to organize something. What's going to be different is that we're going to expand that now to every country and also to city, regions and cities. And then we are going to schedule coordinated events and coordinated action days and promote them for the cause of freeing Julian Assange. So if you listened earlier on to, I think both Don DeBar and Brian Becker were talking about the importance of internationally coordinated action days. And so that's precisely what we're looking to do now. Now, we will still, because I fully believe in diversity of tactics, and I don't believe in exclusivity in any regard, which means any other movement that's also working, any other group, any other event that's also has the same goal as us, we will continue to support them. We've been doing graphics for Class Conscious. We've been doing other things to help any group. And we don't, whether it is promoting MAGA people in DC or Catholic workers in London or socialists in Australia, we don't care what your political affiliation is. If you're working to free Julian, we will use our human resources, our skills to support you in doing that. So it's not that you have to join a Unity for J event. If you do, that's fantastic. But even if you're doing something with a different group that has the same goal, we will still support you. Someone is asking for specific people to be. Was it Elizabeth? Are you in here? Oh,
yeah. I'm back. I saw you come. Hi. I saw you put the little notification that mods could come in for the last hour. So I was like, I'm going to jump back in.
Oh, do you know? I was actually thinking to myself before, I wish Elizabeth would be here with me for this last hour of this event, but I figured you'd be asleep. So thank you so much for being. I feel like my little prayer was answered. You came back on. So you've been amazing.
So is everybody. That's the whole the whole discussion with Christian earlier and Joe yesterday. It's like everyone does an incredible effort through this whole marathon. So
I can't wait to go back and watch those interviews because it means a lot to me to hear how our team feels about what we're doing and what's been done. Okay, bear with me. I'm trying to get through Elizabeth, if you can see questions and call them out faster than I can read them, go for it.
Yeah, we've got some in Zoom chat. It says that from Michael Julian, Unity 4J, please can the request be made out to both Professor Johan Galtung and John Perkins to participate in a future Unity 4J online discussion. And I don't know about your answer to that, but I just always say, in the previous Q&A, I would say, we can ask a lot of people, but we can never promise that somebody will agree to join us. So
that's true. And also, we've already decided on the format for the future events. I won't be leading those events. They will be chock full of luminaries. I can tell you that. I can't tell you who specifically, but I believe that I'm making the right decision and handing over the monthly online vigils to interviewers and journalists who have even far more experience than I do. I mean, I've interviewed a lot of amazing people. I've to be fair to myself, I've done really good journalism work, but I've only done it for a matter of a few years. The people that I'm talking about have been doing it for their entire lives. They have experience in networks and accolades that are beyond my imagining. And I know that they will do a stellar and fantastic job of representing this movement and doing justice to Julian. And I know that in the meantime, we can begin the types of community organising that is necessary to, first of all, to make a really good experience this is what I'm really focused on. I want to make a good experience for every supporter who joins our platform. Now, there's a really great question that just came out before where someone said, what happens if our Discord gets taken away? Well, there's two things. First of all is we have backed up and are backing up everything on that Discord, so we will not lose any of our data, any of our files, anything. That's cool. Second thing is we're already planning on building our own solution that we can host ourselves through our website, something we can integrate open source task management software, open source digital asset management software within that. So in the future, rather than logging into Discord, you'll log into our website, and then we'll have our own chat, whether we go with Matrix or chat or whatever we use. It will all be done through our site. Now, next, the emergency plan, okay? If everything disappears in a day and you're in a big panic, don't panic. Go to unity4j.com, scroll down to the bottom in the contact section. There is a little bar for you to enter your email address into. So go and do it now would be really great. Go and sign up for the email alerts, because that is where we will be sending out the details of where we're migrating to in the event that Discord is withdrawn. Now, Discord should not be withdrawn or taken away from us, because what we are doing is non-violent. It is legal, absolutely legal. Even any discussion of anything even remotely illegal earns you a ban from our server. Our mods are really very strict about that, and are strict about enforcing the rules. It's important to us that this is a legal, non-violent movement, that it is a kind movement where we look after each other and protect each other, and make sure that each other are safe and are okay. So there's no legal grounds under which the Discord should be taken away from us. However, if it is, rest assured that we have backup plans. It will not be the end of us, it will be the beginning of us. And if anything, I think such an act would infuriate and motivate our supporters to expand this even further. Now, someone just said they found a Unity4J group on Google+. There is a Unity4J group on almost every social media platform in existence right now, and we have sub-organizing groups for each of the platforms. So we have got a Twitter group, a Facebook group, Steemit group, Reddit group, Instagram group, YouTuber group, Tumblr group, Google+, Gab, Minds.com, Wikipedia even. So absolutely, if you are active on any of those platforms, you can jump in and find other people who care about Unity4J who are also active on those platforms. Jump in at any time, Elizabeth.
I like the question about from Gibson question. It asks, do we have a working group for at-embassy events like flash mobs, etc.? I thought that was
that was the first one. I actually answered that before you got on. So I just talked about how we've already set up country events channels, countrywide events channels, but that we're going to break that down into regions and into cities, and that those events that we're promoting in that will be, we will still promote other events that are in solidarity, but we will begin to organise our own events with dates and times and resources and local organisers and that type of. You're grinning your face off, Elizabeth.
Yes, because the reason I asked though is because it just popped up in the Zoom chat. So that's, I guess, I think somebody was going up the chat and was kind of going backwards to get questions. That's probably what happened.
Thank you, Michael Julian, who's saying really nice things to me about my interview skills. I actually think I'm a terrible interviewer for two reasons. One, I just can't answer, I can't ask short, sharp questions, the TV style 6-word questions. I totally fail at that. Instead, I end up pulling from my own knowledge banks and giving these great big contexts of, about whatever agencies or historical context, and then finally getting to a question 45 seconds later. And I think maybe some people love me for that, but I know that traditional journalists must just shake their head in shame looking at me interviewing in that style. The other thing is that I don't write down questions. I don't know if you guys notice, but all I do is I listen to what the guests say, and I get some divine inspiration as a result of what they've said. And I just share my thoughts. I'm just like, wow, that makes me think of blah, blah, blah. And what do you think about blah, blah, blah? So it's really, my interview style is so informal. It's really informal, and it should be abundantly obvious that I'm completely untrained as a journalist. My journalism is entirely instinctual and the result of my experiences over the last 8 years. So rest assured that I really appreciate the nice things that you guys are saying about me. But the people that I'm intending to hand this over to have skills beyond my imagination. And I think the end result will be fantastic. Right, someone's saying that we should be heading out to DEF CON Las Vegas and do something to reach that hacker community. Now, I completely agree with you. We've actually got someone on our team, one of our mods, who was heavily involved in the movement, the Stop TPP movement in the United States. And one of her tactics was to get out into all of these events, you know, to the DEF CON style events, but also to the tertiary education, so university centres, and to basically just like wallpaper them with flyers and just talk to people and engage people and get them on board. And as you guys know, the Stop TPP movement did actually stop the TPP, which was a phenomenal achievement. It took years and it took a lot of work, but it did it, and that was pure people power. That was purely people really caring, getting out there and doing it. So you can expect to see downloadable flyers and posters and stickers and everything else on our website. Those are already in the works, and we will set up, as well as having our event groups like by city, we'll also go and have them by campus. So it was actually Chris Hedges who said we need to target the universities, we need to get the students on board, and I completely agree with him. You guys are so nice to me. You really are. You're really so nice to me. All the comments that I'm reading are amazing. You know, I'm just trying to free a publisher that's really important to humanity, and I appreciate all of the kindness that you're showing right now in the chat. Okay. Any other questions, you guys? Are you reading that, Elizabeth?
About the civil attorneys or civil liberties attorneys? It must be in a different stream.
Can I make a confession? I've had a crush on both Susie and Elizabeth for over a year now. Funny.
That happens. Yeah, there are the multiple different streams and the different platforms, so I'm sure there are comments on every single one that are different.
Did you see we hit 72,000 views on one of the periscopes today?
No, I did not see that. That's incredible.
Yeah, isn't
that
it
is
awesome?
Incredible. That's extremely awesome.
So one was, I mean, this is probably out of date statistics because this was hours ago, but one was 31,000, one was 45,000, and then the one with Jimmy Dore was 72,000.
Wow.
So that is really,
work.
It's phenomenal numbers, you know, considering that we're so new, that this movement is so new, and that it's had no mainstream coverage. It's absolutely amazing that we're pulling those numbers.
Absolutely. Oh, and there is one thing that I want to add, and if you've already covered this, then stop me, because I know that immediately after every single segment there will be a comment like, hey, where can I find this individual segment with this speaker, or there was a thing yesterday I really liked, where can I find it? And if any of the mods that are here want to speak up about this, you know, go ahead. I don't know if Joe wants to add a comment, because I know that I want viewers to know that it takes time to render and get the timestamps and compile the interviews, and I know we're trying to make that faster, but we want to get those videos out there, but they aren't there quite yet, mostly. I think you can rewind the Periscope stuff pretty easily, though, from what Joe has said.
Someone asked, can we reach out to civil liberties-minded attorneys to support Unity for J? We have got now what we call the Legal Beagle rank on a server, which live in the #legal channel, and they are already analysing, providing legal analysis of documents, and that any useful information there is filtering back through to Julian's legal team, which is absolutely fantastic. So if you are at all legal-minded, or if you have any contact with any sympathetic civil liberties attorneys, by all means send them our way, and they will find a home in that channel. Oh, that's so cool. Okay, if you have, because I've seen questions are scrolling fast, because we have like 20 nice, kind things that people are saying to us for every question. If we haven't answered your question, just keep asking it. So I see someone asking about Marino's tweets about Assange. At this point, and I think this is the general consensus across people in the know, almost nothing that he says holds any weight because it constantly contradicts itself and everything. He's contradicting statements by his own foreign ministry. He's contradicting statements that he'd made days or weeks prior. And he's contradicting statements that are made by people who are very close to the situation and who would know better, people like Rafael Correa. So in terms of the situation with Ecuador, I personally am putting far more stock in what Julian's legal team says or what Rafael Correa says than I am in what Marino is saying, because I just find it to be so contrary. I'm sure Elizabeth could jump in on that point too, because she's covered these events really closely.
Oh, and the fact that it's so contradictory, word salad, contradictory. The fact that it goes back and forth between what we hear from, for example, like Pence's representative saying, "Oh, we discussed this," versus Moreno saying, "No, we didn't," and kind of the same thing around the visit to the UK, where we heard people say that they had discussed it, and then his official statements were basically something to the effect of, we're not going to discuss it on this trip, etc., etc. But I think that the reason for that, there could be a number of different reasons for that. One of them could be, as I said with Jamal Thomas yesterday, that he's trying to use Julian Assange as a piece of leverage, and so he knows that if once he gives up that leverage, then it's lost forever, and so he wants to get as much out of it as possible, which is why you have this kind of back and forth, like, well, maybe I'm open to giving him to you, but how much more can I get out of you? And I hate saying that. It's a really cynical way of looking at it, but that's the pattern that I think might be going on, where, for example, he maybe meets with Pence, maybe he has some sort of interaction where it looks like he's going to hand Assange over any minute, and then he goes to the UK and he backs off, and he said, so like that's what I think might be going on there. But there could be other reasons too. I mean, there could be some sort of hesitance, from his own government. It could be something political going on within Ecuador. I don't know.
So
yeah.
To the people who are saying, what about this person getting on board with the movement? What about that person getting on board with the movement? We are such a young movement, and we have had so little. I mean, for the first 3 months, we've basically just been reaching out to friends and friends of friends. So it's not like we had no way to notify everybody, hey, this is now happening, come and join us. So it's just been like one by one, we've been pulling people in that we were able to reach. So if there's someone who you think would love this and would love to get on board that hasn't, there is no significance as to why they aren't on board, other than that we had no way to contact them, or we hadn't thought to contact them, or they didn't of their own happenstance have come across the existence of this movement and stick their hand up yet. So if there are people who you want to be involved, if there are people who you think should be on board, then my advice is reach out to them and tell them, hey, have you heard about this? Look at what these guys are doing. This is the premise of the movement. This is, the website. This is such and such and such. Be our promotional force. Be our marketing team. Tell people that this is happening, because they're not going to turn the TV on and hear about it. So if you want these people, various people that you're suggesting on board, then you create the bridge to make that happen. And I've got to shout out a couple of people this weekend. I don't have permission to by name, so I won't, but I'll just say there were a couple of people who brought us extremely valuable allies by doing exactly that. They took the initiative to go and contact those people because they knew them or knew them through someone, and got them on board with the movement. And that is exactly how this will grow. So it's really, we're doing as much as we can to grow it, but you guys can grow it even exponentially faster just by using your initiative and going for it. How would team members describe their most significant takeaway from this latest Unity for J vigil for Julian Assange? Okay, you guys speak up and tell us, what do you think? jump in, tell us.
Well, I want to say a couple of thank yous because there's a lot of people behind the scenes that don't get a lot of recognition. Well, one, the video team are crazy. They're just like a sponge. They're just waiting for our raw videos to go out, and we can't get it to them as fast as we can. And I'm sorry about that. That's something we're gonna have to plan on better for next live streams. And there's a Fly works around the clock doing his stuff. David S. He does both work for the video team and the stream team, which is just double duty. He must be exhausted because I think he pulled in like 24 plus hours. So TK, Ania Django for the graphics team, they're able to get layouts for our live stream events for the streams, and they're just awesome. I gotta go, but here's this, and they go, I'm gonna go. And you know, they had to leave to do stuff, personal stuff, work half an hour ago, and they're still trying to help out, which is crazy. Floor, Aliester T. Mraz, helping out with just anything that we're wanting. They're just there. Propaganda, Banjo 22, Jenny Helena, Coparinio, Korea, those are the people on the video team, and they're just all up in ours. I can't work fast enough. We need it out, and they're just crazy. I mean, when people are needing something to work on so much that we can't give it to them fast enough, that's just an awesome sign. Racer, as well, has helped a lot. RSFO, Jenny Lynn, Hope K, Eric H526, Tristan Sykes, Matt Monroe, Cockatoo, Protect What's True, Matt Monroe. Those are who are almost always in and out of the live chats on YouTube. They're just tremendous help. People who've helped out in the past as well, Independent Outsider, Kitty Hundal, Fortified X, and a lot of their help. I mean, they couldn't help this time around, but we know that they're going to be around for the future. And Kelly Lane, who also went to the Washington, D.C. Julian Assange rally. She also met with Christian. So that's awesome that there are actually people on the ground going to these events. That's all I wanted to say.
I hope you're not forgetting your own contribution, Eben, which has been remarkable. Eben has created how-to guides on teaching new users how to use the Discord server. He's created a whole managerial plan for the stream team, how to make it work. He has trained people in how to do the transitions and how to use Restream and OBS and Zoom. And he has just flawlessly coordinated the tech crew that you see in relation to the streams. So that is not forgotten, not to mention the countless hours that you have sat there in that chair making sure that it's all working properly. And there has been a massive improvement in our streams and the stability of our streams since you've got on board. So thank you so much for that, Eben.
Thanks. Also, the Fango, him being with us has just helped tremendously. He's got the confidence, he's got the know-how. And David S., he's always so afraid to make a mistake, but he's more confident now. And just, it doesn't matter if you're new to this or you've got plenty of experience. We all have to go through this together. So it's just, don't even worry about whether you have little knowledge or you have a lot of knowledge. We just all need to work together and we'll figure it out. And thank you, Susie and Elizabeth. I've never said that. Sorry.
No, you're good. Just jump in. This is a free-for-all as far as I'm concerned now. You guys, I like to hear the voices of the people who are making this happen, and I think the audience really like it as well. Bruce, anyone else? Joe? Oh, Joe's on his train, I guess. Bruce, you want to jump in and tell us what are your thoughts from the vigil? You're muted. Oh, there you go.
Everything works. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, okay. The vigil was fantastic again. I mean, all 4 vigils have been fantastic. What is it, 5 events, I suppose, including the other one? The shorter one we just had. I was working the tweet streams, and people just jumped on board to help with the live tweeting because we didn't have enough. I don't want to mention names, but you know who you are because I don't want to miss anyone out. But it was amazing that Alistair Thompson jumped on board. Remember, he was one of the guests, probably one of the people I admire most in New Zealand journalism, because he started his own progressive media organisation, Scoop, and he just jumped on, and he loves the tweeting, and it's almost like a new frontier of live reporting, that you have amazing guests with amazing insights or else amazing anecdotes. And I include you in that too, Susie. I mean, you were talking about your own interview style. It's really an exchange between experts whenever you speak with one, for example, the journalists or anyone on one of these topics, because you have such a broad background knowledge. And then that can be reported live as a tweet. You make the tweet look nice, you take a screenshot, and then it's something that it's a new form of journalism, I think, that is very accessible. Someone can read the tweet very easily, see the screenshot, and makes an impression. So the tweeting went really well. The whole event went really well, really. It was fantastic. Some of the, most of the the overall standard of the speakers was just incredible. Just the new insights. I will mention that Alistair Thompson, there was one journalist that he didn't really know, and then he was blown away by, you can look back through his tweet stream and find out who it is. Just blown away by the story, and what did he say? It said, tingles up the spine. And he's someone who's been in journalism and publishing for many, many years, and this was like a new insight to him. He can speak to that much better than I can, but it just illustrates the power of bringing people together and reporting it, including with tweets, is a part of that outreach to people. It's informing people. Most of the problem with Julian Assange is people just don't know about him, and they're learning about him. All right, that's quite a rant. I'll leave it at that. Thanks very much to everyone who participated. Obviously, Susie, organising it as well. You've been doing an incredible job. You must be incredibly tired. Probably been going like crazy for about a week. And Elizabeth, I mean, the interviews you've done, interview after interview, and then question and answers after that. It's just amazing that you could do it. I can't believe it.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate everyone, as I've said earlier, like you guys that are live tweeting, social media teams, tech teams, everybody that you know, that other people don't know maybe are there when they're just watching the vigil. I think you guys are all amazing, just fantastic that you've done this for such a marathon. You know, you guys blow me away every single time we do streams like this. It just blows me away that you guys are willing to put your entire weekend into working for this effort. So thank you.
Well, Alistair called it the work of angels. We're doing something special here, and we know that. This is maybe even historic. And so why wouldn't you do it? And you know what they're doing to Julian and the importance of Julian Assange and WikiLeaks. Why wouldn't you do it? Right.
Well, look what an amazing thing we've built. I'm just sending out a message to our Discord server to tell everybody on the organising platform if they want to come and ask questions, any questions about the movement, where they can do that. And it says to me, by using this tag, you're about to mention more than 2,800 people. Are you sure? Yes. Send. So how incredible that I can message 2,800 people in the click of one button, and that the 2,800 people that care about Julian and are involved in this movement. Like, what a beautiful thing we have created.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's catch up on questions because I am fading. Let's go. I'm more than willing to give it another half an hour. I'll stay for as long as I can because I think it's important. That was something I didn't mention. Although I'm passing off the vigil events to much cooler, more experienced people than me, I'm planning on continuing a weekly State of the Movement address because I think that's a very valuable format for the people who are involved in the movement for us to do like a weekly recap of like the content that we've created and the events that we've organized and how the organizing platform itself has advanced. And I'm sure some friends of the movement will jump in on those streams and have something to say as well. So it'll probably be midweek like the last one was, like maybe on a Wednesday or a Thursday. It'll be short, it'll be like sub 2 hours. And it'll just be like an informal stream, very similar to the last one. If you go and watch the last State of the Movement address, I think that we'll keep doing that so that everyone will have. But the other thing too, I'm not sure if people realize this, well, I know about at least 50 people a day have worked it out, is that you can actually DM me personally anytime that you want to on Discord. You can send me a message, ask me a question. And it may be that I just redirect you to someone else if you're asking me about an area of expertise that there's another person who's leading. Or if it's more general, then I'll give you information. So please do know, my personal goal is to be accessible to everybody who's on their support platform. And so I have it over the last 4 days. I really haven't been able to because of this online vigil, and that's one of the things that's been bothering me personally. But prior to the last 4 days, I was up to date with every single channel, every notification on that server. I was keeping an eye on absolutely everything and doing everything I could to facilitate it. And so that was one of the deciding factors for me and why I wanted to pass off the visual events to other people, is that I don't want to let that slip. I don't want to not be accessible and available and not able to support those channels. It's important to me to be there with the supporters. So that's why the PR stuff can go to other people, and I think whenever we change the format like this, there will be beautiful things that will come as a course of that. And I know that I'll be sitting here in like 2 or 3 months' time and thinking, wow, that was such a good decision because now look what's happened because of that. And so I can already feel that it's the right thing to do. But yeah, we'll do that 2-hour State of the Movement address midweek every week, and I'll still show up for that and faithfully report to you guys the progress from all of the teams. And I think that'll work really well. Okay, I can see there must be a million questions. Eben, you're totally right about coordination. Absolutely. People apologizing for all DMing me all the time. I really don't mind. It doesn't bother me at all. It's actually a lot easier for me to manage just from the layout in Discord than it is when people DM me in Twitter and whatnot. So, and I'm freaking terrible with email. Honestly, I wouldn't bother emailing me ever. You're way better off dropping me a message in Discord. Yeah, Propaganda's asking, should we do team Zoom meetings to talk more about how to run each team smoother? I think there's a number of things that we need to do for the teams. One is we need like a standard operating procedures document that we can give to newcomers to the team so that they have the information that they need about the history of this team and the key contacts for the team and how the team, what the team's, core functions are and which other teams they work closely with and who the contacts for those teams are, what the process is for submitting work and getting work approved, and the rank rewards that we have, the role rewards that we have for those who contribute work that is successfully approved and utilised by the movement. we also have a role reward called the helpful role for people who are just kind and nice and sweet and helpful to other people on the server. Because for us, that's actually as beneficial as someone who is creating content. So if you have a good attitude and you're creating a positive space for people, then that is like, it's a contribution in and of itself. So even a lot of people say sometimes, oh, well, I don't have any of these skills listed, what can I do? You can actually just sit in the like chat channels and the introduce yourself channels and just like say to people, hey, how's it going? Can I help? You know, what can I do? Maybe I have some like answers to some questions you might have. This type of thing, I love people like this. I love it when I get so excited when I see people being nice to each other and kind to each other, because this is such a cruel fucking world. This is such a like horrible, miserable world sometimes, and it's so easy to lose your faith in humanity. But something about this movement that many people have said and observed is that it actually restores our faith in humanity when we see how good-hearted people are and how right motivated they are. And when you see them express kindness towards each other, it really does make it feel like you're in the right place at the right time and doing the right thing. So
you're going to love, on that note, then you're going to love rewatching Christian's segment too, because he talks about the motivation for joining. And I don't mean to speak about you in third person, Christian, please jump in. But it's just that it was really inspiring for me as somebody who's hosting this to hear other people's reasons for and inspirations for like being part of this movement too. But yeah, so I guess Christian said BRB in a minute, so never mind. But yeah, no, I mean, seriously, Susie, when you go back and re-listen to that and rewatch that, it's an incredible, segment from somebody who is just speaking about the like when the basic motivation of being part of something like this, coming from that sense of compassion and empathy, and the fact that when one of us is attacked, all of us are attacked. And I mentioned that to Father Dave during his segment, and he said that's a really, biblical type of sentiment. And, that's all Christian statement from earlier. So absolutely awesome to get people that are already involved and motivated in both the vigils and in the Unity 4J server, giving just their thoughts and their motivations for being part of this. That's an interesting question from Charlene Parsons about, and I'm not sure, correct me if you've already answered this, Susie, but what difference would another expose from WikiLeaks make? I think that's a kind of interesting question.
Well, I guess it depends what the expose was about. I am one of many people around the world who's particularly interested to know what is inside those insurance files. Hopefully we'll never have to find out in terms of, the circumstances under which they might be released. But God knows there could be all kinds of freaking fascinating things in there if all kinds of earth-shattering information. I don't know. What I can tell you is that a very heartening thing for me has been that even though Julian has been silenced, the WikiLeaks Twitter feed is functioning and operating exactly as it always did. And it's functioning with the same voice that it always had, which is particularly interesting because of how certain people in the media, I'll leave it at that, depicted Julian as being the voice of WikiLeaks and tried to make it out like it was all Julian behind, he was the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain. And we see now that that's absolutely not the case, and this is categorical evidence that that's not the case. So every time the WikiLeaks account sends another tweet that's in the same vein as the tweets it's always sent for all these years, those particular journalists look like even bigger idiots for having made those assertions. And if they had any decency, would be issuing retractions to that effect, but sure enough, they're not.
I loved what Caitlin Johnstone said, reminded us all in the wake of this most recent, 11,000, log dump or whatever, was that, half of that had been reported before. And that goes back to what Susie's sort of referencing there, but it's kind of old news being recycled.
Hey, I've been waiting for the rest of Vault 7, Vault 8, and Vault 9 to come out. I mean, we got Hive, but, they never quite finished releasing the rest of the stuff from that particular piece of information. Like, there was one thing that was missing called Umbrage, that it's in there, but the files haven't been released yet, and I thought that was really important.
Yeah, I think they started on Vault 8.
I thought Umbrage had been released.
It's in there. There's the pages are there for it, but the files for Umbrage and everything associated for it haven't been released yet.
Would that be part of the redaction to keep it from being weaponized, or was
they did actually say that they were not going to release the code files for that, yeah, but they released the profile of the program.
But I think they did start on Vault 8 too. Like, I think they had a short. Let me look that up. I'm curious now.
Vault 8 was the Meteor Ops.
Okay, and that's right.
What's rumored to be in there, though we don't know for a fact, what's rumored to be in there is lists of journalists who are on the payrolls of the intelligence agencies.
Now that would be fascinating. That would be fascinating to look at.
Because when they dropped Vault 8, they dropped Vault 8, and that was the source code for that Hive program. Now, I was just personally thinking, I was like, well, if you got 8, 9, 10, 11, something like that, there should be something coming, at least here in the near future, right? Because it's not done.
Sorry, I'm just reading through the chat.
Well, I don't know. I don't think we can ever really say what WikiLeaks is going to do next. And I'm really glad about that, because I'm always excited to see, they're very unpredictable, and that's a good thing. And I hope that they do continue to publish releases. But of course, it's all dependent on people submitting documents to them and whistleblowing to them. So I think that hopefully whistleblowers will continue to feel safe going to WikiLeaks as one of the, the only outlet that they can go to safely and not expect to be burned in the way that sources have been burned by The Intercept repeatedly. And I say that specifically because John Kiriakou says that specifically as one of those sources. So I hope that people go to WikiLeaks and continue submitting information there.
Someone is asking if we will do spontaneous streams at some point in the future. My answer to that would be, if Julian is in imminent danger, absolutely you'll see us doing emergency vigil streams again that will call on very short notice and bring in whoever is available to speak. And that was something actually Kim told me tonight. He's like, if there's any change in Julian's situation, tell me and I'll be on that stream in 2 minutes flat. So there are a lot of people who are prepared to drop everything and go, as hard as they can, if it does seem that Julian is in even more danger than he is on any given day of the week at the moment. So
and as a hypothetical, that could include if something happens like beyond the sort of articles indicating an imminent move in that area. If something actually did happen, I think what we would want to do is have a live stream immediately and be streaming any news from the embassy, for example, like live streaming videos, camera, cell phones, whatever, from the embassy itself, so that it is not done without a lot of witnesses, whatever happens.
Mike Lamb says Vault 8 came out on November 9th, 2017. Elizabeth made this a wonderful vigil experience, always brought the message back to the physical and mental effects for Julian of the torturous plight he's enduring in that embassy due to UK and Ecuador. I agree with you, Michael Julian. However, I would also say that Elizabeth also always brought it back to what everybody watching and supporting can do to advance the cause to help Julian. And that has been a significant contribution in and of itself, despite all of our other contributions. The reason that we have the tracks Kill the Messenger and Brake Lights are directly because Elizabeth sat on the stream and said to people, take your skills, take what you're good at, use them for this movement, use them to support Julian. So she has done a really great job of not just humanizing Julian Assange, but also empowering people to take actions in support of him. So I fully commend her for that.
Thank you. I don't really know what to say in the wake of that. Thank you. I don't really have words. So thank you guys. pleasure and an honor to be here and to have participated in these streams. I mean, being able to speak to the supporters of Assange is an honor, and being able to try to help encourage other people to also speak out in support of Assange is seriously, it's a privilege and an honor.
Okay, you guys, last call for questions. Oh, someone said about using Tor. Okay, I'm going to tell you the non-mainstream answer about using Tor. Tor being the onion router. It's a networking tool for disguising your location. It is a browser, which is actually just an extension of Mozilla Firefox that has tailor-made settings and plugins and stuff that's supposed to provide anonymity. I can, after having spent a year in Berlin with a bunch of techies and having used Tor myself as I tracked across the world, I can tell you quite a bit about Tor, and also having studied and written about it. My advice about Tor is this. If you do not use Tor, your network traffic is in a dragnet of mass surveillance, no matter where you are on this planet. So you are being targeted along with everybody else. Your data and your traffic is being not just targeted, but also being stored perennially, forevermore. If you do use Tor, your use of Tor makes you a target of the US government by default, as we know from Snowden files and from other files, which means instead of becoming caught up in dragnet or mass surveillance, you are now individually targeted, which means they will seek to compromise your endpoints, which means your devices individually, so that they can attempt to track you in that way. So whether you don't use Tor or you do use Tor, you are going to be targeted by the government. So you need to make that decision. Now, the second thing that I would tell you is that Tor encrypts your packets, your data packets in transit, which is how it prevents mass surveillance, because it means they can't just hoover up everybody's data. They actually have to track you individually, which is a higher resource cost for them to do. But if you use Tor in a location where there is not a lot of other Tor traffic, not a lot of other encrypted traffic, then your traffic, your data packets are like a bleeping, screaming red light. And I found this out the hard way in Malaysia. I was using Tor in Malaysia in an area where basically nobody was using Tor and nobody had encrypted their data. So even though the data that I was encrypting was just me shooting the shit in private messages and of no significance whatsoever, it sets off alarm bells for the ISP and for the powers that be that are watching, because they're like, encrypted packets, must be top secret information, some spy or something or another, and they freak out about it. And then next thing you know, you have an entire team of people trailing you around everywhere that you go and surveilling the crap out of you and everything else. So you want to ask, by comparison, when I'm sitting at CCC in Berlin in Germany and every single person in that building is using Tor, or at a conference where 3,000 people, or actually at CC Camp, 3,000 or 4,000 people are using Tor, it's a totally different story, because all of the data packets are being encrypted. So you are not the anomaly anymore, you are the rule. So using Tor and using encryption is situational, and it can have different effects depending upon your situation, and whether or not you're already a target is also a consideration. So there's all types of things. The other thing is, if you're using Tor on a pwned Windows machine on a pwned router, like I was in Auckland with undercover police sitting outside your front gate, it's probably not going to do very much good whatsoever. So yet again, you have to think to yourself, how effective is it going to be? Is it viable situationally? What is going to result from your use of Tor in the environment and the conditions that you're in? If you really know what you're doing, if you're using the most hardcore privacy operating systems that are currently available, i.e. Cubes or Subgraph OS or something along those lines, or if you're Jake Applebaum and have a custom-built crypto phone you know, including hardware and everything else, then your use of Tor is going to be far more effective than me downloading Tor browser for Windows in Auckland, not having a fucking clue what I was doing. So yet again, you've got to take the skill factor into consideration as well. But that is the other thing that you have to realize is, and I wrote about this, can't even remember which of my articles I wrote about this in, but I talked about the fact that it's been revealed that Tor is actually used. For years we knew it had funding from, originally it was a US Navy project and it had State Department funding. We didn't know why. Why would they want to create this amazing anonymity tool? It turns out that Tor is what is used to mask the kill traffic in Iraq and Afghanistan for the US military. It is a military tool that they use to protect themselves. So Tor is dependent upon having as many nodes running Tor as possible, because that's what creates the mask. It masks the traffic by the volume. So the greater volume, the more easily they can mask the traffic. So at a certain point, you might want to ask yourself, do I want to be a part of, you know, adding to the security, layer of security to the US military's kill operations? Or, you know, and then knowing that you are still, as a Tor user, going to be tracked and going to be targeted as a result. So perhaps there are, you know, I think we're overdue for some other solutions, but then Tor has saved people's lives as well. Tor has, without a doubt, saved the lives of activists. One day I might tell a story about when I was in Kazakhstan and how Tails basically saved my bacon, saved my behind, in a very big way. And I'm not the only one. There have been many other activists in very hot, very dangerous situations for whom Tor has been great. So that's my long-winded explanation about Tor. There's no one easy answer. I would never say, yeah, use it, or no, don't use it. Like, there's too much gray zone that you have to understand the implications of your use of it and to use it responsibly.
I think Mr. Robot put it the best. Whoever owns the exit routers owns all the traffic. And if you think about it, the U.S. government probably owns most of the Tor routers that are available out there right now, or all the people that are on the network. So you're basically playing with fire, just like you are if you ever log into the internet, use Discord, use any piece of personal program. I mean, ultimately, it's up to exactly what are you doing at that point in time, and how well did you plan to not get caught if you were doing anything like that. So using Tor is probably a good example. It's good for some people that want to stay anonymous, but being able to educate yourself on how to use it correctly is paramount in order for it to be effective, because if not, somebody can still find you. I mean, who did they find? Dread Pirate Roberts? They were able to find him in a library.
Okay, guys, last call for questions. I'm looking forward to sleeping for longer than an hour and a half. Anyone? Any last words, you guys? I can see tons of conversation going on.
Just to say a quick thank you to everybody behind the scenes, everybody who's been in front of the camera, everybody in all the different channels in Discord. Obviously, everybody here, Yvonne, Bruce, Stefango, Susie, Liz, Joe, Fly. You guys all rock. Thank you. You guys all are a fundamental part of this. And without you guys, who the hell knows what would be.
Totally.
Thank you to people who are listening right now, who have watched the stream.
Definitely.
Thank you to all the supporters. Thank you to the 8,000 something Twitter accounts that tweeted the Unity4J hashtag. Thank you to all of the guests who have without hesitation jumped on and been so amazing. Thank you to our hundreds of people at any given moment working on the server, and thank you so much to all of you here present who are all really good friends and have made an amazing contribution. I think that's about it. Thank you to everyone wishing us well and thanking us. This is truly united in solidarity for Julian Assange. We're doing it. Okay, tech team, we're out. Give us some music, and we'll see you all later. Congratulations, guys, on an epic event. Congratulations, everybody, for making this a success.
Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.